DreAllDay.com.
Dre Baldwin, DreAllDay.com, overseasbasketballblueprint.com. Question that I'm addressing here is, do genetics matter when it comes to playing professional basketball overseas? Do genetics matter? Now, this is a question that I often get from younger players who are not even at the level to even be considering professional basketball yet. These are often our high school players or, college level players maybe, but oftentimes high school players at the lower amateur ranks, because they're wondering, looking at their own genetics, maybe looking at their parents, how tall their parents are, how athletic, what kind of athletic genes that may have been passed down to them or not passed down to them. Will it preclude them from making it in professional basketball? So I'm going to address this question just so I can say that I've addressed it, because somebody's going to ask me this question again in the future. Another player is going to have it. So when it comes to genetics are basically what kind of code was passed down to you through your biological parents, your mother and your father, if you happen to know who they are, and you can take a look at whatever their genetics are, how tall they are, how athletic. Usually that's what a basketball player is asking about: how tall, how athletic. Do they matter when it comes to professional basketball? Yes and no. Yes, they matter in that basketball is a game for tall people. I mean, you look at basketball players, usually they're pretty tall. Average American man, what I've read, is 5 feet 9 inches tall. Maybe it's 5'11" is one of those. Most basketball players are over 6 feet tall. I think most of you know that. And players who are very close to that Mendoza line, close to 6 feet, they are electric. You got to be spectacular if you're a smaller player in basketball. You can't be a mediocre, smaller player. If you're under, let's say, I'm about 6'4". 6'4", I would say, is about the cutoff point. If you're under 6'4" playing basketball, doesn't mean you can't make it pro. What it means is you better be damn good, because there's gonna be so much competition. The lower the height, the wider it's like a pyramid. People who are 7'3", there's only a few people who are 7'3" playing basketball. Then when you get down to 6'10", it's a little bit wider. There are a few more people. About 6'7", there are many more. About 6'4", there's a whole lot of us. Down to about 6 feet, then there's even more. So the smaller you get, the more players there are, which means you have to be that much better. You have to be that much more spectacular to stand out, to earn your job, and to keep your job as a pro basketball player. So genetics matter in that way, that height, the more height that you have, the less competition you have to beat out just to get on in professional basketball. So just on that basic practical level, yes, genetics do matter. Now, this is not saying anything about the actual matter of skills, because just because you're 6'7" doesn't mean you're gonna be good at basketball. I mean, those of y'all who, anywhere you live in the world, you probably seen somebody who was really tall and your first thought was, man, he must play basketball. But then you might talk to that person and see they don't play basketball at all. And they probably get tired of people asking them if they play basketball, because they get tired of people assuming just because they're tall, they're a basketball player. And everybody does this. So just because you're tall doesn't mean you're going to make it as a basketball player. You got to have skill too, but you have a lot less competition to go against the taller you are when it comes to just the natural selection of the way basketball works on a practical level. All right, I think everyone can agree with that. Now, the reason why I say yes and no is because, as I just explained, just because you're tall doesn't mean you're going to make it. You still have to have skill. You still got to be able to, you got to have talent. You got to be able to play. You have to know how to play the game of basketball, as I talked about in a previous material here. You got to be willing to play a road game and earn your way in, work your way in. And then once you're in, you got to do what you got to do to keep that job. Just because you have a job playing basketball overseas doesn't mean you're going to keep a job playing basketball overseas. Those are two completely different things, because once you getting a job is about whatever resume you can present, whoever's marketing and promoting you, and the way that you can sell yourself. Keeping a job is about what you do once you get on that court. Which those two could be two completely different things. There are people who can sell themselves, but maybe they can't keep their job because they got on the wrong team, or maybe they had the wrong coach, or maybe it was the wrong system, or maybe they got injured. Maybe for whatever reason they just didn't perform. Maybe they can't perform. You never know, but those are two different things. Selling yourself and continuing to service the account once you make a sale. That's a sales term for those of y'all who don't know. Those are two different things. So does genetics matter when it comes to playing professional basketball overseas? Yes, it does. But here's the other thing about genetics. The third answer to this question. So I gave you the yes and the no. Here's what you need to do, okay? Here's what you need to do. Stop focusing on genetics, because you can't change your genetics. Once you're born, you're born. All right, the only way you can change your genetics is to go back to preconception and choose a different mother and different father for you to be born to, which as far as we know, as of the date of this recording, is not scientifically possible. All right, a unborn person cannot choose who their parents are going to be. So you can't do anything about the genetics you got. So wherever your parents are, they're short and they're not athletic, then maybe that's how you'll end up, maybe not. I mean, sometimes you just end up way taller than your parents and way more athletic, and they don't even play sports, and you become a sports superstar. My parents did not play sports. My parents are not tall. Neither one of them is over 5'10". My father is, I think, 5'9". He's the next tallest person in my family. There's only 4 of us. But he's the next tallest person. I became 6'4". And none of them play sports. I became a professional athlete. So you never know how it's going to work out, but you can't control it. There's nothing you can do about the genetics. You have what you have. Only thing you can control is what you do with the cards that you've been dealt, which means work on your game so you can develop as much skill as possible. Work on your body so you can maximize your athletic potential. This is a really important thing because athletes ask me about, well, Dre, I'm this height. Is it possible that I'll be able to dunk if I do this program or that program? Nobody can guarantee you're going to be able to dunk because it is based on what was your baseline. Where are you at physically at this point when you begin whatever program or whatever concept or tactic or strategy? And then it's what are you doing around that? Just because you do a program doesn't mean it's automatically going to make you dunk. It doesn't mean that it won't. What else are you doing? How much rest are you getting? What kind of food are you eating? How are you taking care of your body? What is your posture like? Do you have any pre-existing injuries? All of these things, and there's about 20 other questions that could be asked. And a physical therapist or kinesiologist or someone who studies the body could supply those questions to you off the top of their head. I just gave you a few of them. But understand that whatever genetics you have, you can do your best to maximize what you got. Make the most out of what you were given because that's the only thing you can do. All right. Now, I know that some ladies out there, the Instagram models out there can go and buy and enhance their bodies to look a certain way. You can buy certain things that maybe make your body perform differently, like some steroids and stuff like that, but I wouldn't suggest you do that. What steroids actually do is allow you to train more and train harder. They don't actually make you stronger or faster. They allow you to train more, which then makes you stronger or faster. But maybe there are some steroids who just make you stronger or faster without even working on it, probably since I've read that article back in the day. So anyway, the answer to the question is, do genetics matter in basketball? Yes, they do, because height and athleticism are talents in basketball, and that matters. But they also don't matter because just because you're tall and athletic doesn't mean you can play basketball. And just because you're not tall, super tall, and not super athletic doesn't mean you can't become a basketball player. There are plenty of examples of people who did. And I'm talking about pro basketball players, not a YouTuber, not an influencer, not a college player, a professional basketball player. But the third answer, the one that matters the most, is that whatever you have is what you have, and you need to take responsibility for making the most of the raw tools that you have been given. All you can control is maximizing the tools that you have. You can't control what the tools are. You got what you got, and let's play the game from where we're at. Play the hand you've been dealt. Those of y'all who don't know, this show is on Apple Podcasts, it's on Spotify, it's on SoundCloud, in the podcasting feed. So whatever podcast platform you prefer to listen, make sure you subscribe to the show because there's going to be material on there that will not be available maybe wherever. If you're watching this on YouTube or something like that, we may make changes somewhere along the way, but anything I'm talking overseas related will be on the podcast, absolutely guaranteed, 100%. I actually like podcasting a little bit more than I like video, honestly, simply because using the power of my voice is easier, and I have a bigger advantage using the power of my voice than I do editing video, simply because I don't really like editing video, which you can tell by looking at this video, right? Anyway, all the podcasting platforms this show will be on moving forward. This show is called the Overseas Basketball Blueprint, so if you didn't know, just look it up, Overseas Basketball Blueprint, and whatever podcasting app. We're on SoundCloud, Spotify, Google Play, Apple Podcasts. Y'all know all the usual suspects. And we'll be on this YouTube for as long as we are, until or if we are not. Make sure you leave a review of the show and a rating of the show. Let everybody else know what value you've gotten from the show so that people know. When people are browsing through, they're trying to figure out, is this show worth it? Is this show any good? Is this guy trash? Let the world know what this show is, and let me know. You can reach me direct on IG at Dre Baldwin. My email, dre@dreallday.com. Let me know what you think about the show, what value you're getting from it. You have any suggestions, concerns, complaints, criticisms, questions, go ahead and leave them for me there at dre@dreallday.com, or just hit me in the DM or private message on any social media platform. I'm on all of them actively. And make sure you go to balloverseas.com. Get your free copy of the Overseas Basketball Blueprint, 237-page book. It tells you everything you need to know about playing professional basketball right now. Even if you're like me, coming from a small school, no decorated background, don't even have an agent, can you make it happen? You absolutely can. I did it. I'll show you how you can do it. Work on your game. Dre all day.